there are a lot of Confederate symbols going down, and one that is not is Six Flags in Texas, because that flag is flying high, and it ain't going nowhere right now. This is the Confederate States of American flag.
It looks different than what you're probably used to seeing, because what we're used to seeing with the giant cross is actually the battle flag, and they actually changed it. I looked this up because when it was limp, it actually looked like the other United States flag. Right. So that's the battle flag.
But they both symbolize the secession from the Union.
In fact, that first flag, the one that's waving there, is the first flag. That was the first flag they had.
So we wanted to find out from the folks at Six Flags, you know, what's the deal? Everybody else is, a lot of people are taking these flags and these monuments down. What about you? And they said, there is a difference between the two flags. They somehow think that the one with the X,
the big one that we're all super familiar with,
is the one that symbolizes racism, but theirs doesn't.
It symbolized some sort of historical culture.
But they still don't address the fact that that flag was designed to represent the states that seceded from our union in order to fight to keep slavery.
Which is shocking, because when we asked her, we pressed her a little bit on that, the representative of Six Flags, and said, okay, obviously you say that there's a difference between the two, but a lot of people, and all full disclosure, I wasn't aware that there even was the original one there. I'm only familiar with the battle flag. And she said, well, our guests know the difference between the two, and they know what the two stand for.
Well, what is the difference?
Exactly.
That's the problem. I mean, what is the difference between these two flags if they both really symbolize the same thing? It may be that racists now, the avowed racists, are embracing one, but the other, if it stands for the same thing, it's a distinction without a difference.
Right, and they're saying there's some historical significance to having this flag, because all the other flags are what French.
There's historical significance to anything.
Follow my line of thought. There was actually a Texas Confederate flag that was specific to the state of Texas, and they didn't choose that. Not that that would be any better, but if they're talking about the historical significance of Texas, I believe there is even a better representation of that.
I think that one thing about this was that people really couldn't identify that flag, period, right? So I don't think it was that so much that the guests knew the difference, is that they really didn't know what they were looking at. When you think of the Confederate flag, that's not the flag you think of. I think now that people do know, or that there's heightened awareness to it, they're going to receive a lot more pushback than what they think that they are.
I was going to say, Harvey, by the way, there seems to be a rejection of all things Confederacy, especially right now. In Tampa, there is a statue in front of the courthouse. It's like a tribute to the Confederate soldiers that fought in the Civil War, the ones that lived and died. It's 106 years old, and there's been a movement to get rid of the statue for a long time. Officials voted, they said, okay, we'll do it, but you need to raise $150,000 in private funds because we can't afford to pay for that. Well, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, along with the Tampa Bay Rays, and along with the NHL's Tampa Bay Lightning, 3 major sports teams in Tampa are each kicking in the money privately, just announced this right now, to have the statue removed from the courthouse.
How interesting.
That's a new way of doing it,
one quick thing. I don't know how this hits you. You know, there are now Senator Cory Booker and others, Nancy Pelosi now, they want to get rid of the half dozen Confederate monuments in the Capitol building, I think in the Rotunda. Does it strike anybody? Those things have been sitting there for decades, when everybody knew what it represented.
Do you feel like it's more of a reminder there?
I'm just wondering, is everybody reacting to the political heat of Charlottesville because they could have done this 20 years ago?
Well, yeah,
and nobody uttered a peep on it, and now they're doing it.
Well, things become an issue when they become an issue.
Was this not an issue before?
Well, sometimes the awareness has to be high.
No, I know. I'm just raising it.
A lot of these things get, the connectivity of social media. A lot of these things get kind of moved around like that. But the point is, when the awareness is up there, what do you do? When you know better, do you do better?
Hi, it's Linda Yende here from Johannesburg, South Africa. And you know what? My opinion. If anything is divisive, if anything is a human rights violation and it's a big thing between people, then you've got to take a stand. You can't be sitting on the fence on an issue like this. You're either for it or you're against it. This is a symbol of racism. It's a symbol of slavery. You've got to take a stand and say, this is me. I believe that it shouldn't be here. It shouldn't be up there. End of story.
Hey,
Get rid of it.
I got a quick question. We're really out of time, but I got to know. In South Africa, are there still signs of apartheid, symbols of apartheid that are monuments that are standing there?
You know what? There's some that sort of slip through the cracks, but every now and again, somebody points it out and it becomes an issue.
Fair enough. Make sure to subscribe to TMZ Live to keep up to date on the latest entertainment news.
And if you want to keep watching, click on one of these videos right now.